All right, today we're joined by Erin Haney. Erin, do you want to tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. Hello, hello. So again, my name is Erin Haney. I am originally from Toledo, Ohio, but now live on the west side of Cleveland. Love it here, kind of Lakewood, Avon area, if you're familiar. It says a camp that you're affiliated with, and that's my favorite thing to talk about, and that is Super Camp. So we look at Super Camp as almost like a little junior Buckeye, but it's for 9 to 13-year-olds, and I have been involved in Super Camp since I was that 9-year-old. So I went with grandma probably even before I was old enough, but grew up through the ranks with that camp as a camper, a counselor, CIT, a staff member, director, and now a resource, and then back on adult staff. So been involved with Super Camp for a long time, which is ultimately what led me to Buckeye. So super. The first year I attended Buckeye, it says, was 2002. I remember that because grandma had been trying to get me to go all the way through high school. And unfortunately, when you're a theater kid, the thought of missing a rehearsal or a spring musical for Buckeye, you couldn't sell me. But then after 2002, I was probably 21. Please don't do that math. I went, and I have really only missed a handful of years since. I've always tried to make it a priority in my life. It's that self-care for me. It's that refilling of the bucket. So I've been probably 11 or 12 times. I missed a few years in there, here and there, when you're busy having babies or something like that. So the last year I attended was, I believe, 2 years ago. So the next question is my favorite also. It says, who brought you to BLW or Buckeye? And I've said grandma a few times here, but for those of you who don't know her, Edith Richmond, or Edie as she likes to be called, or who knows what last name we're going with now, Richmond, Dyke, whatever. But Edie, as we know her, 4'10" little package of bundle of joy, is my grandmother. And she has been involved in Buckeye and even a permanent committee member for more years than I can count. She's just loves the camp world, loves Buckeye, and really helped to bring that to many people in our community. So my grandmother brought me, she brought several of my friends, my peers from camp, and all 7 cousins in my generation have been. And soon enough, next year, I'm hoping my son will be old enough to go, and we'll have 4 generations of Buckeye, which makes my heart just melt. So cool. He's 15, so we're just right around the corner from that. So grandma brought me, and I would have found it regardless through Super Camp. We have a lot of natural attrition from Super Camp to Buckeye. And then it says my favorite song to sing at Song Circle. Oh my goodness. I think every year you kind of have a different favorite. If you've ever had an opportunity to be in a song circle, really singing around, whether you were a theater kid, a church kid, but you just have the power of all of those voices all directing in at each other. Song circle is it's a remarkable experience because you have people who are like, me, I don't sing. And by the end of it, they're just, here I am, like letting it out. Tone deaf or not, somehow we get all of these people together and just make the most wonderful medley of music. I really love to sing a round called Sing Swing Saints. So that's a really good one, especially if you are next to a committee member named John Fark. He is about 7'100". I feel like he's the tallest human I've ever met. And so sometimes when you're holding hands and kind of swinging, it feels like you might leave the ground. But it's pretty amazing to be next to him for that. And then another one that always just fills my heart and gets stuck in my head is, I don't even know the name of it. It's the Rainbow Song. And again, it's around. I must have a love for those somewhere, but you have the chorus and then it breaks up and people are singing different colors. So you've got, the sopranos singing 2 colors, the altos singing 2 colors, and the tenors and baritones singing another, and it just comes together as such a beautiful rainbow of sounds and harmonies, and it's just really, really cool to be part of. Love it. And then if you could describe BLW with one word, oh my goodness. I think inspiring. To me, we do so much for other people in this world. And, there's really been a movement the last couple of years where people are talking about self-care Sundays or, taking that time for yourself, especially even during this, pandemic that we've been going through, is investing in you. And Buckeye has just always been that for me. And inspiring means really filling that bucket and being able to give back to me so that I can, go back to work or to camp or to the rest of the life inspired to help others. And it really is. It's those 4 days that are just for you, where you can, you know, leave your work phone at home, or leave your parental obligations, or, you know, any other obligations, dishes in the sink, and just really invest in yourself. And so to me, I just leave Buckeye the most inspired, as I am all year.
Awesome. So since you've been coming for maybe 2 handfuls of years, is there something that you learned at BLW that you use in your personal life that surprises you?
You know, absolutely. I think that, you know, I've had several jobs. I work in a retail-based environment, and always in sales, in a competitive nature. But managing people, I have really found in this last job. I work for Mac. This is my only background, sorry. I work for Mac, and it's an Estee Lauder-based company that truly invests in people. And for me, in the last few years, camp life and work life have really kind of started to overlap. And when you can find that, that's a wonderful thing. So sometimes, you know, we're going into a meeting, and I have a region that is based across 2 states. So I have Pennsylvania, Columbus, Cleveland, all of these like parts of Ohio, and we bring people together. And one of the most important things is that you start your meeting off, even though these people talk on Zoom calls, well, Zoom calls now used to just be the old conference calls every week. Do they really know each other? So finding those ways to use things that I've learned at BLW, like mixers, and something more than just 2 truths and a lie. Because I'm gonna tell you, in the retail world, they act like that is like revolutionary, and there's so many more good icebreakers and mixers and wonderful things that can make a group really a group and a team. So I think that is the biggest thing that I use, is all of the how to talk to people, how to build relationships, how to get them started off on the right foot. You do that every day at Buckeye in meeting new people in, say, your Think Together groups, or at the beginning of your session. You're always having these inspiring leaders kind of bring you together and get you to click instantly. And that's so important at my work. Also, just different people. You know, sometimes you can talk to some people who are really similar to you and make a great connection. Sometimes you're talking to somebody who's just very different than you and has a different style and a different pace. And as you can see, I'm like on 10. I'm like a lot of energy and a lot of fast talking. And then you've got that person who's like, whoa. And Buckeye's really taught me how to interact with people who are different. You know, the golden rule, they say, is to treat people how you want to be treated. That's not good. I mean, not everybody is you. So then I've heard people say the platinum rule is treat people how they want to be treated. And I heard that decades before that was mainstream at Buckeye. So at Buckeye, they've always taught you to match that energy and work with someone where they're at to bring them to where they, you know, where they can get to, you know, taking people beyond their comfort zone. Growth lies at the edge of your comfort zone, and all those wonderful things that you hear at work now. I've been hearing that for 20 years at Buckeye. So it truly is a harmonious experience to be able to meld all that learning. We even did, this is a silly example, but there's an activity with a ball of yarn. And I was once at a meeting, and I was the lowest man on the totem pole at this meeting. So this is my peers, but also my boss, his boss, and their boss, and corporate HR. And they were looking for some kind of a mixer to bring people together. And I actually found something that we used as a ball of yarn or ball of string or something. And we did that spider web, where it talks about if one person drops the rope, how, you know, another person can pull that slack. And everybody thought, oh my gosh, like I had just had a 4-year degree in icebreakers in that moment. And it was just something that I knew at Buckeye, and it didn't take any effort for me to put it in. And then they also would do these activities at work, but they wouldn't process them. And why? You know, I mean, if you're going to spend the time doing an activity, you have to talk about it afterwards. And that's another thing I really think I learned at Buckeye, how to efficiently process an activity so that you can really everyone can take something from it.
Awesome. So you touched on it a little bit so far. Do you have advice for people that might be on the fence about attending in the future?
Absolutely. So here's the thing. If you grew up in camps, church camps, summer camps, leadership camps, 4-H camps, going to Buckeye, you might be a little nervous to meet people that you haven't met before, and that's totally normal. But then you've got people who show up at camp and they've never been to camp before. My boyfriend had never even been to 6th grade camp. And I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? Going to some place like Buckeye that is very campy. You know, we've got the evening programs and dancing and singing and hugging. And he was like, what are you talking about? But people like that, or even my son's best friend, I look at him and he's done Boy Scouts, but Boy Scouts where they're in their own tent, in their own place, and not in each other's spaces as much. And I look at him coming next year to camp, and it'll be totally different for them. But I will say, each time somebody who has really stepped outside their comfort zone and come to a camp like this, you go in, and no one's expecting you on day one to be dancing and singing and hugging and all of those things that camp people do. But take it at your own pace, and everyone there will respect that at Buckeye. Everyone knows somebody who's come and is like totally out of their mainstream event circle, and they still take so much from it. So here's my recommendation to you. If you're like, it says leadership camp, but this also looks like, I'm gonna, be asked to sing or wear a costume or be part of a skit, then that's not me. Don't worry, there's still a place for you to have real value taken away from this, and no one is going to force you to do anything that you're not comfortable with. So come with a friend. If you can bring a friend to something like this, they are involved in camps, or maybe they're not. Maybe they're just in the corporate world. We've had people from Ford come to this camp, and I remember meeting this lady and I was like, oh, what camp are you from? And she's like, I work for Ford. And I was like, what? She's like, yeah, they sent me based on what they read online about Buckeye's leadership and development programs. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've sat in a song circle with people who made this their annual girls trip. They'd never even heard of it. They stumbled across it on the wonderful internet that we have, and they came as a girls trip, and they were in their 40s, never did anything like this, came back 3 more times just because they were like, what an experience that we stumbled upon. So my advice to you is, even if this is something that you're looking at and you're not sure, and it might not seem like you, take that risk. It's 4 days. It's an amazing adventure, and you won't regret it. And just know, no one is expecting you to do anything that you're not, comfortable with. You'll find your place in here, and you'll take something away from it that no one even expected.
Awesome. So you have any closing comments for everybody?
Gosh, I mean, I just think that, this is camp is being lost on our youth today. Everything has gone the way of sports and virtual, and, they love video games, and it's a very social thing. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, it's not like you're playing video games in your room by yourself anymore. Now they're on these formats of being social by doing these activities. But camp is, if you're sending a teenager or as an adult and you're looking for something to do with your 15-year-old or your 16-year-old child and get them out there, I just have to say, like, you will take away so much from this. And being able to come as part of a girls group or part of a, family thing that you do with cousins, or like I told you, I'm really excited next year to bring my child, and see him in this type of environment. Look into it. Watch these videos, see people from all walks of life that come to Buckeye and come back time and time again. There's a reason. It's a hidden gem. There's wonderful like little books and things like that I have on my shelf now that are from activities I've done on leadership and team building, and everything from a grade school book that actually is called Fill Your Bucket. Audio books that I've read that people that I've met have recommended. There are people that you will meet that you would never have met in any other way, but it's that like-minded individuals that are looking for inspiration and development. And if you can take this time, a lot of works even will give you professional development days, and you're able to get paid for coming. I know my work does. Just started this year. We get volunteer hours and professional development days. And so, amazing. But if you can find a way to try this out and to incorporate this into your year, I would say absolutely you won't regret it.
All right. Thanks, Erin.